Hello everyone, good evening.
Hello, good evening.
All right. So I am audible, right?
Yes, yes.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. And let's start. All right. Allow me a minute. All right. So yeah, last day I said to create a assignment. So what is the status? Is it done? Are you people trying? Any problem?
It is in progress. I will submit it tonight
Okay.
or in the morning tomorrow.
All right. Perfect. So what you guys need to do is that you need to create a repository in GitHub, and you can push your file in your repository and share that link. Share the link of your repo so that I or anyone else can see, you know, the code which whatever you created.
Okay, okay, sure.
So as of now, uh, in our last two sessions, we gone through with HTML and CSS. I believe now you people have some idea about HTML and CSS. So today we will move to JavaScript, vanilla JavaScript, right? Because it is a long topic and it is important. So, so I'm going to create a new folder with the name JS, JS for JavaScript, right? So it should not be inside, rather should be somewhere outside. Hold on. Okay. So this is our new folder. So inside it, let's create a basic file, HTML file, right? Say index.html. Okay. So first, what we need to do, we need to create the basic boilerplate, right? Let's remove this unwanted lines and okay. So we can write our JavaScript code inside this script tag. And the right place of this script tag is just before the end of, before the closing of body tag, right? And yeah, so here in title, I'm going to write my first JavaScript file, right? And let's minimize this head section. Okay. Now in the body section, let's do one thing. Let's create a div, right? All of us are aware about this div tag. So inside div tag, we can write any content, right? And today in this program, we are not going to write some static content from here. What I mean that I'm not going to write anything, any content here, right? Rather, I will generate content from our JavaScript inside this div, right? So in our JavaScript, I will write some code, and through that code, I will create the content inside this div, right? So to create or to generate some content inside that div, first I need to access this div from my JavaScript. This is the general logic. First, I need to access it. So to access this div, I need to put some identifier of this div. So we can put some identifier using ID attribute. Say the ID of this div is, let's say div1, right? We can put any other ID as well. It's okay, div1. Now, inside our script, first we need to create a function, right? I believe all of us are familiar with function. So function is a block of code, right? And we can call it, we can reuse that code multiple times. So to create a function, we can use this keyword, function keyword, and let's write some name, right? Let's say generate content. Right. Okay. Now, now the thing is how we can access this div in our JavaScript. So here, this div is inside. If we will see carefully, let me minimize this script thing. So if we will see carefully, our div is inside this body tag, right? And let me open this file into browser. Okay. So in browser, so whatever the things, whatever the tags or content we write, for example, say here inside body, I'm going to write a h1, right? And here I'm going to write JavaScript. So this JavaScript will start to display in our browser, right? So inside our browser, the white area, the white background area where the JavaScript is displaying, this is called document. From this top right, I mean top left corner to bottom right corner. This entire white background area is called document, right? So in JavaScript terminology, this is called document. So in my code, I can write, let's open the function. And here I will write document dot. So inside my document, there is a div whose ID is div1. So I can write here document dot get element by ID. So get element by ID. So all the, these tags are also called elements. So this is one element, right? This is another, H1 is another element. So here in our body, there is an element whose ID is div1. So let's copy this ID and paste it here, right? So by using this piece of code, we can access our HTML element inside our JavaScript. Now we have access of our element. Now what we can do, we can write a dot inner HTML. This is a property, right? So by using this property, we can generate some HTML inside our element. So here I will write, let's say using h2, right? Let's write hello world and close the h2. So all of us know what is the meaning of h2 and h1, right? Okay. So this is the only line in our function. Now we need to call this function. So ideally what happens in our server-side programming language, we call our function like this, right? So here, we need to call this function in some event, right? Event is what? Event is like if I am going to click over some button, so this is a click event, or maybe if in our UI there is some drop down, I am changing the drop down, then that change is an event. If I am typing in some input box, that typing is an event, right? So there are multiple events. So we need to call this function in some event. So let's do one thing. Let's create a button here, right? I'm going to create a simple button. And let's write here, click me. And here in the button, we have to write a attribute which is on click, right? So on click, when some user will click over on this button, then our function will get called. So we need to write the name of our function, which is generate content, and let's call it like this, right? So, okay, come to the browser. Let's refresh the page. We are able to see, okay, there is a button. And as I'm clicking over it, so we can see the content is generated, hello world, right? Okay, so there is one more thing, which is called alert, right? So in alert, we can write some other message. Let's write again, hello JS. So basically, alert is a function, inbuilt function in JavaScript. And what happens when it executes, it generates a pop-up. And in that pop-up, whatever the message or string we are passing, that will get print in the pop-up. But the important thing which we need to understand is that alert is an function of window object, right? In JavaScript, this entire browser is window, right? This entire browser is window. And window is the most root object in JavaScript. So if I write like this, window.alert, then it is the full syntax, right? Let's see first. So we have this button. So when I will click over it, what will happen? First, the content will generate over here inside the div, and after that, a pop-up will generate. Let's see. So hello JS, right? So that pop-up is coming because of this alert, and alert is the function of window objects. As I am saying that window is the root object. Our document is also the part of window, right? So, okay. I believe this much thing is clear. If there is any question, you may ask to me. Okay. All
S2
right.
tag is not closed, sir.
Sorry, come again.
Line number 18, S2 tag आपने क्लोज नहीं किया है शायद से.
I see. Okay. Yes. All right. It was a typo. All right. Now, let's create a new file, index1.html. And we will create one more file here, which is index1.js. So I'm creating an external JavaScript file. So for that, the extension should be .js. So what I want, let me copy this entire code from here and let me paste it here. And I'm removing this, function from my script and putting it here. right, in my JS file. And here what I need to do, let's remove this blank spaces, and here I will write src equals to the file name. So what is the name of our file? Index1, index1.js. So this is the same thing, right? If I will run index1 there, I believe we should get the same output. Let's check first. So this is our index1, right? Index1.html. And here we are getting this pop-up and message. Fine. All right. Now let's do one thing. Let's create a small program. In our HTML, right? Let's remove this div, remove this header, or instead of JavaScript, let's write some other message. Let's say add, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to create a form here, right, in which there will be two input boxes, and we will enter some numbers into that boxes, and after that we will perform some arithmetic operations over it, like addition, subtraction, multiplication, right? So first we need to create a form. So we can write form. So it is not mandatory because we are not supposed to submit anything in server, but let's go with this. So we should create a form inside div or table. So let's use the table, and say we have a tr, right? Inside our tr we have two tds. So this is the first td, and right here say enter first number, right? In the another cell, create an input box. So we will write input type equals to, we can also write here number, right? And id equals to, say, first underscore number, right? And let's copy this entire tr. And here let's make a change, enter second number, and change this id from first num to second num, right? Let's see how it is looking. Okay. All right. Here I'm going to make it add. And instead of this generate content, let's change the name, make it do add, something do add, do some, anything like this. And the same name we need to put in our JS file. So what I will do, let's click over it and click on this icon. So here we have our HTML file, and here we have our JS file, right? So do add. Let's remove all these things. Now, what is the first thing which we can do here? The first thing which we can do here is uh, we have to access the values which we will enter in our input box. So in this output screen, say I'm entering some number, let's say 10, right? So this 10 we need to access in our JavaScript. So here we will create a variable. So I believe all of us are familiar with variables. So variable are temporary containers in which we can store some data, right? So JavaScript is a loosely data type programming language, right? Here we don't need to take care of uh, data types. In many programming languages where there is a concept of data type, we need to define the data type for our variables or for our functions as well. But here we don't need to take care of such things. We will simply use the keywords like let, or there is another keyword called var, right? We can use either one. There is some difference between let and var that we will see later on. But yes, for now, we can use either let or var to create, variables. So I am creating a variable A and another variable B, right? In A, I am going to store the first number, and in the B, I will store the second number. So for that, what we can do, we have to access this first number element. So here I will write document dot get element by ID, and let's put the ID here, first num dot value, right? Sorry, this auto generated something, value, right? Okay. So now the variable A has the value, is whatever the value we will enter here, 10, 100, 200, whatever, that this variable A will store that thing. Now in B, the same thing we can write document dot get element by ID, and we can pass the ID, which is second underscore num dot value, right? And we can create one more variable. Let's say say our third variable is sum equals to A plus B, right? Now we need to display our result. So to display our result, we need to create some kind of element here. So here currently we don't have anything, right? So let's do one thing. After the button, let's create a div, right? In this div here, we will display the result. So let's close it first, and let's provide an identifier ID equals to, say, result or something, right? So here what we need to do, we need to write document dot get element by ID, and pass the ID, which is result. Now here we will use inner HTML, right? What is the meaning of inner HTML? In any element, say this is our element div ID result. This is an element. Now inside this element, whatever the HTML is, that is called inner HTML for this result div, right? So here we are supposed to generate some inner HTML. So we will write, simply we can write some, right? Or we can also write it in H1 or H2, anything like that. Okay. Let me increase its size. All right, so we are printing or displaying the result in our result div. All right. So perfect. Let's see. Let's see whether it is working or not. We need to save this thing, Control S, right? And refresh the file, refresh this page. Here, let's enter, say 15 and say 10. Click on the add. So we are getting the result, but still it is not correct because instead of addition, it is concatenating. So what it means? It means that whatever the value we are fetching from here into our JavaScript, that is we are able to access it as string, not as a number, right? Because when we apply this plus thing, this plus operator in two strings, then it concatenates, right? So we need to change its data type. So here we can write parse int or parse float, anything, right? So by default, whatever the data we fetch from HTML form elements, the default data type is string. So I'm writing here parse int, and let's wrap this entire thing. Now it should be correct. Refresh the page, enter first number as 10 and another number as 15, and click on add. So we are getting the result 25, right? Okay. I hope this is clear to everyone. This is the only thing where means in this program is to understand, means need to take care the events, right? When we are calling the function. So here we are, using on click equals to the function name, right? Okay, let me create one more thing, one more button, right? Say button, and close this button. Okay, here again I am saying, or maybe instead of button, let's create something. Let's create a div, right? This is my div, and here let's apply some style here. Style, or what we can do, we can create an external CSS file. So let's create something. Let's say index1.css, right? So here we will write a class, a box, and here we will define some width and height. So width is, let's say it is 300 pixel, and the height is, say, 200 px, right? And say background color is something. Let's take some color. Google. Let me use my extension ColorZilla, and let's have this and paste it here. Okay. So let's put some padding and margin as well. Padding is, say, 10 px, and say margin is, say, 25 pixel from all direction, right? Let's see how it is looking, and so this is, so we need to apply this box there. Class equals to box, correct? Yeah. So let me write something. Controller here, it is okay. Class box. Okay, we also need to call our CSS file, right? So here we need to write index one dot CSS, right? Okay, so we are getting output. That is okay. Now, what we can do that what we are looking for some other event. So the another event is when I will put my mouse over it. So when I will put my mouse over it, a function should get called, right? So so here in the div, we need to write some other event. So the next event which we will try here is on mouse over, right? On mouse over equals to, we need to call some function. We can also call this the same function do add, but it's okay. Let's write some other function. Uh, let's say my new function is say change color. Change your color, or maybe change background color, BG color, right? Okay. So first thing is let's put an alert here and write here some message. I am inside change BG color, right? Okay. And we need to call this function. So let's copy the name and paste it here, right? Call it. So let's say whether we are able to call this function change BG color with mouse over event, right? So refresh the page and put your mouse over it. Yeah, we are able to call it, right? Okay. So now our function is getting called. This is fine. But now I want to do something. What I want to do is that when I will put my mouse over the div, the background color should get changed, right? So to change the background color from JavaScript, again, we need to access our div, right? So, and this is our div, right? The class is box. And okay, so here the best practice is, right? Let's put ID. ID is anything, say box one. This is the ID. So I will write here document dot get element by ID, and inside this function, let's pass the box one, right? So we have access this element. Now we will write dot style dot background color equals to, we can write some color code here. So to get some color code, again use the old tactics, and now I'm going to copy this yellow color. So what I will do, simply come here and click over it. We got the color code, paste it here. Let's see, Control S. And let's control the HTML also. Refresh the page. And now I'm going to put my mouse over my div. So yeah, we can see the color is getting changed. Now it is changed, but now what I want that, okay, when I will remove my mouse pointer from this div, it should again come back to green background color, right? So for that, what I can do, there is another, event which is called on mouse out. On mouse out. And here we have two options. Either we can create a separate function, or we can use the same function and do some little modification in our existing function, change bg color. But for now, I'm going to create a separate function. I'm not going to make it complicated. So let's say undo bg color. Right. And let's copy this name and come here, create the function with the name undo bg color. And inside it, right, what I will do, I will copy the same line. And okay, so by default, come to the CSS file. By default, this was the color, right? So let's copy, sorry, Control Z. Copy this thing, right? And come here and update this color code. Right. Now let's see. So by default, this is green. I'm putting my mouse over this div. This is yellow. And again, because of undo bg color, again, I am changing my color to green, yellow, green, right? I believe now you guys are understanding, at least in JavaScript, how to access a element, right? Everything whatever the things we are creating here, all these are elements. So in JavaScript, we need to access our element, right? To do something, to perform some actions. So, okay. Now, let me close this thing from here and come to this file. Now, let's talk about some internals of JavaScript. So, okay, this is a JS file, and let's create a new JS file, right? Say new file and say demo1.js, right? Okay. So we created one file in JavaScript, and we use that JS file in our browser, that is in front end. So before proceed, let's have some discussion about theoretical part of JavaScript. So JavaScript is a programming language, definitely. All of us are aware of this. And we can use it in web application development in the front end as well as in the back end, right? So currently, the JavaScript, the code which I wrote, this is the front end, right? Why I'm saying it front end? Because here in almost every function, I used this object document, right? So document, what is document? Document is a part of browser where we display the output in browser. So browser is a front end thing, client side thing, right? So when we write backend JavaScript code, there this code will not work because in the backend, there is no object with the name document, right? So we can also run our JavaScript code outside of the browser, but for that, we need a thing called a node, N-O-D-E, node, right? So if you will search over Google about node, you will find it. Node.js, right? So this is my suggestion to all of you that you should install it, right, in your laptop or desktop, because we will create many JavaScript files which we will run directly in the console, right? We will not use HTML. Means if there is something where we will try to understand the basic concept or fundamental concept of any particular thing, then we will not write HTML. We will directly write the JS file and see that those concepts in console, right? So to run our JS file outside of the browser, we need a runtime environment, and the name of that runtime environment is Node, right? So, so once it will be installed, means installation is easy. It is there is no complications. In Windows machine, simply you have to download the MSI file and you will click multiple next buttons and then it will get installed. Once it will be installed, then in your terminal, if you will write node -v for version, right? So it will say that, okay, you have some version, it means node is installed in your laptop or desktop, right? In case if it is not installed, then you will find some error, something it will say uh, node is not found as internal or external command, something like that, right? So if node is available in your machine, so what I will do, this is my demo1.js, right? Now here I will create a function, say function name is, say, first function, and inside it I will write a simple print message, right? This is console.log. So this, whatever the text or message I will pass inside console.log, this message will get print in terminal, right? So here I am going to write, I am inside first function, right? So generally what we do in our server-side programming or other programming languages, when we create our function, after that we can call it like this, right? So let's see whether it is working or not. So what I need to do, inside my folder, if I will write node and the file name, which is demo or bus 2. Okay, I need to change my folder, and my folder name is JS. So here, let's clear the screen. Here I will write node demo 1.js, right? And as I will press enter, I can see that, okay, our function is getting called. I am inside first function, right? So according to our expectation, we are getting the result. Perfect. Okay. Now I'm removing this line from here and I'm trying to write this line at the top, right? So the question is, with this syntax, whether we will get the output, because logically, first we need to define our function. This is the definition of function, right? Once we should write the function or define the function, then only we should call it. But here I am calling it, right? This is calling the function, right? And later I am defining the function. So let's see what will happen. So again, I am running the same thing and I'm getting the output. I'm not getting any error. So how it is happening? What actually is happening in the background, that we need to understand. So when we are executing this code, so internally, there is a concept in JavaScript which is called hosting, right? Hosting. Right. So what JavaScript engine does, during the runtime, it checks how many functions we have in our page, right? So in JavaScript, we can create function in two ways. This way is called named function. There is one more way, which is called anonymous function. So currently, we will not talk about anonymous function. Let's focus on named function only. So what I was saying, during runtime, JavaScript engine will check how many named functions exist in the code. So it will see that, okay, there is one named function, first func something. So what it will do, it will move this function to the top of its scope. So something means nothing will happen in your code, but virtually internally JavaScript engine will move this code here at the top, right? Now, because of this, what will happen when we are running this file? It is executing, it is giving us a result. Even though we are defining the function at the bottom, but our JavaScript engine is pushing this code, this piece of code, this piece of function at the top of its scope. And this process is known as hosting, right? So because of hosting, we are getting output, right? Here we are getting output. Okay. Now I'm creating another function with other way. As I was saying, in JavaScript, there are two types of functions. One is named function, right? The first one is named function. Sorry. And the second, I should keep this thing on comment. So first one is named function, right? And the second one is anonymous. So how we can create an anonymous function? Let's see its syntax. So first, what we will do, we will create a variable. Let's say anything. Say my variable name is second function, second func function, right? This is my variable name, right? Now I will write this thing function, this parenthesis, and then this curly brackets. And here inside it, I can write console.log, say this is my second function, any message, any random message, right? So here in this anonymous function, the function is, this is the function which I am highlighted, right? And we are storing this entire function in a variable, right? Now this variable second func, this is also called function expression, right? So let me write here, second, this variable is also called function expression. So expression. So if someone will ask you what is function expression, so simply you have to answer that function expressions are the variables which can store, which hold some function, right? So this variable is holding or storing some function. So now the question is how we can call this function. To call this function, we need to use this function expression, this variable. We will write the name of this, variable, and after that we will use this parenthesis. So with this will get called. Let's see. You can see this is my second function, right? This is getting called because of this line. We are calling like this. So as of now, there regarding function, the point which is clear is that in JavaScript, there are two types of functions, right? So named function and anonymous function, right? So named function have some name, anonymous functions don't have any name. Okay, now let's do some experiment. So our anonymous function is also executing, working fine. Let's do one thing. Let's copy this line where we are calling it, and let's call it at the top, like the first function, right? First we are calling it, then we are defining it. So let's see. Let's run this. First clear the screen and run this program. This time we are getting an error, reference error. Cannot access second function before initialization. So what it means? It means that in case of anonymous function, it is not getting hoisted, right? It is throwing us error. So this is a technical difference between both the function. So in case of named function, you can define it anywhere, you can call it anywhere, doesn't matter, because during the runtime, JavaScript engine will take care of it. But when you are creating some anonymous function, definition should be at the top, right? Am I making sense? Is it clear?
Yes, Gautam.
All right, thank you. Perfect. Now, what we need to do, so we have this thing. We understood about the hoisting, we understood this thing, both type of functions. Okay, now as I said in the previous program that we have two keywords, let and where, right? And we can use either one to create some variable. So we need to understand what is the difference between both, right? So what we can do here, we can write, let's say console.log, and let's use the variable name, say a, right? So here pay attention that before this line number 23, I never initialize it, right? Logically, I should write uh, let or where something, say where a, right? And after that, either we can initialize it with some value, right? Or maybe if not, then I can write something in the next line, say a equals to 10, and after that only I should print it. So one thing which we need to understand is then if we will not initialize or put any value inside a, then the default value is undefined, right? So let's see it. So this is the variable a, this is the initialization, right? And after that, we are consoling it. So let's see, there should be undefined message. Yeah. So see, we are getting an undefined message, right? So undefined is, by the way, it is a data type. We will discuss more about the data type after this. But for the time being, let's understand that, okay, undefined is the data type. And if we don't have anything in our variable, then the default value is undefined. But what I want to do is, this is okay. This is logically 100% correct that, okay, first I declared something, after that I am using it. But now what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this thing and writing it here. Still, if I will execute this code, I will find that everything is working fine. Let's see. See, this is undefined. So the same concept of hosting is applying here. When we create any variable using where, so where the declaration of where goes to the top of its scope during runtime, right? And okay, now the point is, there's another thing. If I will write, means in my a currently there is no value, that's why it is showing undefined. If I will put some value, a equals to 10, so will I get 10 in the line number 22? What should be the output here? So here the output is will be again undefined. Let's see. Again, it is undefined. It is not 10. Why so? If I will copy this line and print here, then I will get 10. See, here it is 10. So the reason is during hosting, right? What Indian checks, it checks that, okay, how many variables are there in the code, which is declared with the var keyword. And when it will find, okay, on the line number 23, there is a variable a, which is, created using var. So it will move this much code, only var a. It will not host the value which is inside it, right? It will host the var a, and it will put it at the top with undefined, right? So because of that, doesn't matter you are putting here value or not. Here you will get undefined, but once you will put some value, after that you will get that value, right? Now, now let me copy this thing, this 3 lines, paste it here, and instead of a, let me write here b. Let's say b equals to 10, and instead of var, I'm going to make it let, right? Okay, now let's see what is happening. Okay, allow me a minute. Allow me a minute, guys. All right. So yeah, so in our code, we use this let, right? So let's see. So here we are getting a reference error that, and it is saying that cannot access B before initialization. So what it means? It means that it is saying that, okay, this line will not work. So the question is whether means uh, this let thing is not getting hosted. So basically, JS engine try to host this variable B also, means the variable which declared with let. But the problem is it is not initialized with undefined, right? If we will see about this thing in Google, let me open Google and let's write hosting in JavaScript. So, or maybe hosting let var and let JavaScript. So it is saying that variables declared with var are hosted to the top of their function scope or global scope. And in case of let, hosting with let, so variables declared with let are also hosted, right? So engine try to host it to the top of their block scope. However, unlike var, let declarations are not initialized with a default value during hosting, right? That's why we get the reference error. Getting the point? So now if someone will ask you what is the difference between var and let, So the one thing which you guys can say that, okay, where is successfully hosted, whereas let variables means engine try to host it, but it is not initialize able to initialize the default value, due to which we get reference error, right? So this is the one difference. So later on we will find other differences as well. Okay, so I hope this thing is clear to everyone. And there is one more keyword which is called const, right? So we use this keyword to create some constant, variables. For example, suppose we need to create a variable, say pi. In mathematics, there is a thing called pi, and the value is 3.141 something, right? So this is constant thing. The value of pi never changes. So we can keep such thing in a constant variable or in our real projects if there is some path, right? Some directory path, some image path. So we can store those paths in constant variable, right? Because we know that this is not going to change. So any such thing which is not going to change in our project, we can keep it in constant, right? So um, with constant, again, if we will try to, try to print it before its declaration, then we will get the reference error. It is same as let, right? So we need to write it here, console.log, and let's say pi. So we will get some result. We are getting 3.141. That is okay. Now let's do one thing. Let's try to change its value. Pi equals to, say, 4.0. Let's see what will happen. And simply copy paste it. So we are getting an error as it is saying that assignment to constant variable, right? This is not possible. Hope this is clear, right? Okay. Now let's talk about the data types of JavaScript. Do anyone have any question, or can I proceed? Currently, we are talking about the fundamentals of JavaScript. So we are talking about the fundamentals of JavaScript, and after that, after some time, um, we will write some codes, right? We will write some codes because writing code is not enough. You need to understand what is the architecture behind it, right? So without understanding the architecture, if you will write code, then maybe you will get the output, but you will not get the 360-degree picture, right? Okay, so the next thing is data type. So let me open some website where we will get some pictorial view. Let's say data types in JavaScript. Or maybe this site. Yeah. So you can see here, when we talk about data types in JavaScript, it has two categories: primitive data type and non-primitive data types. So in primitive types, there are numbers, right? There are string, boolean, null, undefined, and there is one new thing which is symbol, right? So today in our program, we were using number. Somewhere I used undefined. We can use string, boolean, right? These are the very normal data types in every programming language. Ideally, we use these data types, right? Now come to the non-primitive data types. We also call it reference type. So here there is object, there is array. By the way, the spelling of array is wrong here. Then there is function, right? So here in JavaScript, function is a data type, right? In other programming languages, function is function, it is not a data type. But here it is a data type. Then there is a date, regular expression. But the thing is, if we will try to check data type of any of this, whether it's array or object or function. Currently, you guys are not aware of object in JavaScript or array in JavaScript, but we created few functions. So if we will try to see the data type of our function, then it will return us object. Let's try. So come to our code, and we have first function, we have second function, right? So second function is a function expression, a variable, right? So here, if I will write console.log data type of second function is, let's put a separator. We can use plus or comma, anything. And then we will write type of, and this variable, a function expression variable. Let's see what it is returning. So, okay, we need to change this code first. So let's remove it. Okay, clear the screen and let's run it again. So it is saying data type of second function is function. Okay. All right. This is saying me function, but it is an object, right? Hold on. Let me try this thing in the front end side as well. Let me copy this function. Okay, this function, right? In my index1.js. This is the JS file which I was using in my HTML, right? And I am simply writing here this console message. Let's copy this from here and Control C and paste it here, right? Type of second function. Okay, let's see. Come to the page here. Here, what we need to do, we need to click on this inspect, come to console. So whatever the thing is written in console.log, that should come here, right? Let's refresh the page. So, okay, this is my bad. Even in the front end, it is saying it function, right? But okay, but from this image, one thing which we can understand that all these are non-primitive types, right? So in many web pages, you will find that in the non-primitive data type, the only thing which is written is object, right? So see, why I was saying it object, because see it carefully, this code. Here, we are storing an entire function in a variable, right? So the variable is holding an entire function. So this variable is something, it is like an object only, right? It is like an object because it has a reference type data inside it, right? Okay. Maybe next session or after that, when we will discuss about array and objects in JavaScript, then we will, discuss it in more detail. But for now, it's okay. Leave it here. So So what is next? So we understood about variables. We understood about functions, right? There are two things which is clear to us. Okay, let me open some notepad, maybe somewhere other topic should be written. Yeah, just topics. Okay, so these are the topics of vanilla JavaScript. So today, in one or two program, we uses this document object. We also discussed about this window object, window.alert, we wrote somewhere. Now the next thing is DOM, document object model. So what it is, this is again an important thing, important question for interview. So in our browser, right, let me remove this thing from here too. Yeah, in our browser, so if I will right click and okay, so I choose this green box, right, and see at the bottom of my browser, here it is saying the hierarchy. The topmost element is HTML, then there is body, right? I put my mouse over this body, so see, it is also getting selected at the top in the browser. Then there is a div. So there is a hierarchy, right? And this hierarchy is called document object model. So internally, browser keeps a copy of all the elements. All means the tree structure of all the elements. For example, if I will come here and where is my div? This is the div. So here, if I will create one more div, right? And again, inside it, one more div and say div. So, so DOM, what DOM will do? DOM will update itself as I will refresh the page. It will update itself and keep the tree structure of entire uh, elements hierarchy. So if I will put my mouse over here, so inside it, okay, we are not able to see that deep. Let's do one thing. Let's write something here. I should see it. Okay. Now if I will try to select this text here, so you can see at the bottom that, okay, first is HTML, then there is body, then there is a div whose ID is box one, and inside it there is another div, and then the innermost div, right? So this hierarchy is DOM. So you may go through Google, right? Here, let's write about DOM. The document object model used in web development, right? So, okay, you will go through it, right? There, if there is anything in the W3 schools, maybe some easy example means definition is there. When a web page is loaded, the browser creates a document object model of the page. The HTML DOM model is constructed as a tree of objects. So as I was saying, right? So the root element is HTML, right? After that, there is head, there is body. Inside body, there are different, elements. So this tree structure is nothing but DOM, right? Okay. After that, we were talking about events. So today we gone through with click event, mouse over and mouse over and mouse out event. Similarly, there is another event, say on key up. On key up is when we type something, let's say during typing, first we press our key and after that we release that key. So during release, this event occurs on key up, right? Onload is another event. It get fires when our bodies get loaded. Here for onload, we don't need to do any action from ourselves, right? Onload means when our page will load, automatically this event will fire, right? We will see some, code with this event as well. After that, okay, from point number 4, these are the conditional statements, right? Switch case, ternary operator, multiple if, nested if. I believe you guys are aware of this, but okay, we will see at least one program of each thing to get familiar with the syntax, right? Then there is loops. So there are few traditional loops like for loop, while loop, and do while. We will we can also use break and continue, right? Okay. Then function, named function and anonymous function. So we are already familiar with named function and anonymous function. There is one more type of function which is called arrow function, and this is nothing but a kind of anonymous function only, right? So let's see it. When we are talking about functions, so we should see arrow function also. So in our demo 1.js, right, here what we can do, let's create a arrow function. So say we need to create a function, anonymous function. So what is the syntax? We write, first we write a variable, say let x equals to function, right? And after that we put this curly braces and say here this function is accepting uh, two inputs a and b, right? And we are returning, return a plus b, right? So this is a simple anonymous function, right? And okay, we can call this function like this. Now let's convert this function into arrow function. To convert this anonymous function into arrow function, first what we need to do, we need to remove this function keyword. And here we need to write this equal to sign and this sign as an arrow, right? After that, we can also remove this curly brace, right? Let's remove it. And let's bring this line at the top. And let's also remove this return, right? So this is the anonymous function. This is a shortcut way to create any function, right? So it is your choice whether you want to go with anonymous function or arrow function. But yes, when we will learn React.js or in future, if you guys will get chance to work with, frameworks like, I mean, server-side frameworks of JavaScript like Express.js and all, you will find that many of places you have to write such arrow functions, or such arrow function exist in the frameworks, right? As means in the library function, files or packages, you will find that this is a very common thing. Many of places, arrow functions are there. Okay, so this is a arrow function. Only syntactical sugarcoat over anonymous function. Right. Okay, come back to this thing. And then run JS code in browser, also outside of browser. So we are doing this. Okay. So now we will write few more codes, which we will run in browser, right? And we will see few more events like we are familiar with on click, on mouse over. We will see on load, on key up, these things, right? So let me create a new file. Say index2.html. Index2.html. right? And we will create one JS file for this. So we will write index2.js. Right, let's create the boilerplate first. This is JS. Come here. Right here, HTML. Let me remove these things. And this. Okay. Here, what I will do, here I will write index2.js. Right, index2.js. Okay. So say here we have some elements. Say we have a div. Let me close it correctly. Div. Right. And we have some CSS file index1.css. So let's apply here index1.css. And we will use the class box, right? We created a box class there. So let's see how it is looking. Index2.html. Index2. Yeah, we are getting it. So here in the body, what I will do, I will write onload equals to, and we can write some function name, say anything, say any random function, right? We can write some better name, but it's okay for the time being. And this is the function. And here in .js, let's create named function or anonymous function, doesn't matter. We can write let this thing, the function name equals to, let's create the arrow function, right? And here, what I want to do, let's write alert, simple alert. Say page load completed, right? So we need to check that when my content will get load, right, then whether this function is getting called or not. So we are trying to call this function in onload, right? So this is my page. I will refresh it. Let's refresh it. So yeah, see, with refresh, we are getting this alert. So what it means? It means that this function is getting called automatically with the page load. Here I am not clicking anywhere. I am not doing anything. It is simply refreshing. With page refresh, this function is getting called. So what it means in our JavaScript, if we want to perform something by default, I mean with page load, so we can use this event, onload event, right? Okay. Now here, let's create a input box. Say input type is text, and say ID equals to anything, let's say uh, anything, let's say user underscore data or input, user input, right? This is the ID, and let's close it. So here I will use an event on key up. equals to, let's write a function name, print text, txt. So what is the objective of my function? That whatever we will type, the same message, say I am typing A here. So A should get print here inside this div. After that, if I will press B, so B will print here, right, inside my div. So print text. So let me create this print text function. Let print text equals to, right. Now, okay. So what I will do, let's create a variable, say data equals to document dot get element by ID. As an ID, we can pass the ID of our input box, which is user underscore inp. Copy it and paste it here. Right. Dot value. Right. Okay. Now, whatever user is typing, that we are getting in this variable. Now, what we need to do, we need to put this value into our div, right? This green background div. So here, what I can do, let's write ID is div1, right? So here I will write document dot get element by ID. Pass the ID. What is the ID? Div1. So we will write div1 dot inner HTML, right? In case of div, I can't use value because div don't has any attribute like value, but it has inner HTML, right? So in inner HTML, we can write data. Right. Now let's see whether it's working or not. Semicolon is optional here. We can write or we can skip, up to us. So, okay, this is okay. So we have this input box. Let's write A. You can see at the top, we are getting A, then B, C. So whatever I am writing, that is getting, printed there, right? So it is working. I hope I'm making sense. This means whatever the code I'm writing, you guys are getting it, right? I will also put this codes in GitHub, right? And in case if you guys have any kind of unclarity, any doubt, any question, you may ask to me, because these are fundamental things, but very important things, right? And these are also important for interview purpose also, because many of times, interviewer asks question from fundamentals. So, okay, this is like 10 o'clock. So we will take a 10 or 12 minutes of break. And after that, we will return back, right? So I'm keeping myself mute, and after 10 minutes, we will come back. All right.
Okay, okay.
All right. Thank you.